The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
Reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
At that time, Jesus exclaimed, I give praise to you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth. For although you have hidden these things from the wise and the learned, you have revealed them to little ones. Yes, Father, such has been your gracious will. All things have been handed over to me by my Father. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son wishes to reveal him. Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and humble of heart, and you will find rest for yourselves, for my yoke is easy and my burden light. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
How wonderful that the relics of St. Therese got to come here to Carmel by the Sea for the Carmelite nuns' 100th anniversary. It took some doing. The itinerary had been set, and we had to rearrange some things. It was very difficult to work out this itinerary to the United States because everybody wanted a shower of roses. So now in California alone, we have 19 stops in 20 days. And we keep getting calls from Biloxi and Buffalo and Peoria and one pastor in Ohio over and over and over again. St. Therese will have to come back and stay at least a year. But I don't know if you know some of on the internet, there have been some beautiful videos of the places where St. Therese has been so far in the United States. On October 1st, she was in Royal Oak, Michigan, where there were 60,000 people in 1 week. And then she came to Alhambra, the Carmelite parish in Southern California, and there with the priest and the sisters, there were about 8,000. And then she went to Redlands and San Diego. Then we wanted St. Therese to go to Visalia. Fresno is the diocese, and St. Therese is patroness of the Fresno diocese. They asked if the relics could come there about 20 years ago, and when they heard how complicated it was, they gave up. So this time we made a special effort to go to Visalia, to the largest parish church in the United States. It's an acre big inside, and there were 8,000 people there over a weekend. It was magnificent. Then the relics of St. Therese went to San Jose to the new Vietnamese church, Our Lady of Lavang, which was jam-packed with 1,000 people, and all the bishops of California, over 20 bishops were there for a meeting, and they can celebrate it. And from there, I forgot to mention, we went to Thomas Aquinas College for a very elegant visit there, and on and on. And here we are finally celebrating with the Carmelite nuns their 100th anniversary. All this trouble and all this work. And remember, at St. Therese's death, just a few weeks before she died, one of the sisters in her community at Recreation said, "What will Reverend Mother say about Sister Therese? She didn't do anything." This is the little girl who never wanted to cause anybody any trouble. And think of the trouble that even the nuns had gone to here. But this is what the Lord does, we heard in the gospel. He reveals his peace, his lessons, his wisdom to mere children, and to those, we heard in the gospel, whom the Son wishes to reveal him. And I don't know about you, but I'm saying, Lord, reveal your wisdom to me. Come to each one of us to give us your love and your peace, as we heard. Come to me, you who are labor and are overburdened, and that's all of us here today, and I will give you peace. You know about St. Therese. She was relatively unknown until 1 year after her death, on September 30th, 1898. The Carmelite nuns in Lisieux published her death circular, and the prioress took a risk and published the manuscripts which Sister Therese of the Child Jesus had written over 2 years, and they were a runaway bestseller. Nothing had ever been seen like that in the church. Her autobiography, Story of a Soul, has been read in over 50 million copies in every language. When I was 30, I was studying French in France. I was Methodist, and I went in all of the churches to look at the artwork, but I never noticed a Carmelite nun in a statue staring down at me and smiling. I was studying French literature of the 19th and 20th century, and we read all the classics, but I never heard of the second most popular work in French written after the Bible. But finally, at a low point in my life, when everything was going wrong, one Sunday morning, in desperation, I was riding down the street back in California, and I had no Catholic friends, no Catholic contact at all, but there was a Catholic church on the side of the road, and I decided to go in. And I didn't have a vision or revelation except that I had come home. So the weeks went by, and a woman came up to me whom I had met, and she said, "I have a book I think you might be interested to read." And it was Story of a Soul. And that book changed my life. But by page 2, I was a different person. And I like to say there are some books we open and we close them and we move on to the next book. But I don't know if it's this way with you, but there are some books we open and we never close again. And that's what St. Therese has been for me these last 45 years that I have been able to be a Carmelite. We've heard we're here because St. Therese was canonized 100 years ago this year when this Carmel was founded. If she had lived, she would have been 52 years old. This foundation is very much part of the storm of glory that had been going on since her death. The Carmelite and Santa Clara, as you know, founded this monastery under the patronage of Our Lady, Mediatrix of all graces, and Saint Therese. And I'd like to pay special tribute to those founding sisters who sacrificed so much and stepped out into the unknown to come here for you, for us. Mother Alberta, Sister Elizabeth of the Trinity, Sister Marie Aimee, Sister Therese of the Infant Jesus and the Holy Face, and Rose of Nazareth. All this with the very special permission of Pope Pius XI. Bishop John Ginley had been to the canonization and had requested a carmel of Pope Pius XI. And when Bishop Ginley died, he asked to be buried in this chapel, and he's buried in the back right corner. Let's say a little prayer for him silently now. The world would be in awe of St. Therese over this past century, since she was canonized, and since St. Therese, since this carmel was founded. She was named co-patroness of the missions in 1927, this cloistered nun who knew almost no one while she was in the monastery. She was named Doctor of the Church in 1997. In 1996, her relics had begun traveling around the world. This is called the Centenary Reliquary because it was offered by the country of Brazil for her beatification in 1923. It's made of jacaranda wood. Probably you don't see too many jacaranda trees growing here on the cool coast, but in Southern California, you know, the little purple blossoms, the sticky blossoms, that this is a very rare wood. And the filigree work on the sides is silver with gold filigree. It's very heavy, but it contains some of the bones of St. Therese. That's what the officials in Lisieux say. Some of the bones of St. Therese. And I like this poetic description that a great scholar of St. Therese said a few years ago. This reliquary is covered with the sheen of the prayer of millions and millions of people. And now our prayer too. I'd like to pay tribute to some of the sisters who have lived here and who are living here, whom I have known. Some of you knew Sister Francisca of the Holy Spirit. She was from Hollywood, from Beverly Hills, and she worked for Modern Screen magazine after she graduated and lived a very cosmopolitan life. Once she was driving in her little convertible to visit friends in Carmel, and she happened to stop at the mission, and she went in and she saw Padre Sarah's tomb and was so shocked and taken by the poverty of it all that she wanted to live that same life. So she was able to enter here, and she took the name Sister Francisca after the Franciscans of the Holy Spirit. And some of you maybe knew Mother Virginia, whom I knew and loved very well, who went on the foundation to Marinwood, who founded the Carmelite nuns in Finland, and who died there and is buried there, with Sister Paula and Sister Mary Adele, who we are very happy to have back here with us. Sister Mary Joseph here is the niece of Mother Virginia, and it has been my privilege to know and pray for them. They're wonderful nuns here in the community, and a very great blessing that St. Therese has been giving to this community over the last few years is a steady growth in vocations. There is it 14 or 15 nuns now. They're not nodding, they're being very demure. But it's they have about 14 or 15 nuns with a novice and a postulant. And I can assure you that this is one of the strongest and the best Carmels in the United States. You are very blessed to have them. This day is not, and last but not least, I especially want to mention the name of the prioress, Mother Teresita, who is such a loving, wonderful, strong, and holy presence here. And many of you know her, and we owe great thanks to Mother Teresita for her leadership here and for building up the church in the Diocese of Monterey and building up Carmel all over the world. That phrase from the Gospel, "Come to me, all you labor and are burdened." When we think of St. Therese, we usually think of her being at the end of her life when she was strong and with that beautiful smile, as if she never made a mistake, as she was Sister Goody Two-Shoes. But for 10 years of her life, 10 of her 24 years, after her mother died when Therese was 4 and a half, Therese went into a tailspin emotionally. She was hypersensitive, she was fragile, she was depressed. She said, "I cried because I cried." And she wanted to be a Carmelite nun, but when she told people that, they rolled their eyes and said, "Sure thing, honey, that will certainly never happen." But she never lost her confidence. She says this in some of her early writings. She says, "I won't get discouraged. I won't get discouraged." And she said later on in her life, it's confidence and confidence alone that brings us to God. Confidence works miracles. With her prayers, with the Eucharist, with confession, with charity, reaching out to others and doing the best she could. Finally, she was able to be freed from this terrible crisis. So just before her 14th birthday, at the midnight Mass, she had received Holy Communion, and she came back with her father and her older sister Celine, and she was going upstairs to take off her hat, and all of a sudden she felt a transformation come over her. She who had been so sensitive, and her father had just said something to her that normally would have caused her to cry. But this time she was able to get control over her feelings. For the first time in these 10 years, she said, "I felt charity enter my soul and the need to forget myself and make others happy. Since then, I've been happy." Those are good words for me. I don't know about for you. I felt charity enter my soul and the need to forget myself and to make others happy. Since then, I've been happy. And then she says, in a short time, she said, God got me out of the very narrow circle that I was turning in. How many of you are turning around in a very narrow circle, wishing you could get out without knowing how to do it? And that was the night that it happened. She never gave up on the mercy, the love, the power of God. Confidence works miracles, she said, and you and me, we need to keep repeating that too. I don't like at all what a lot of people call St. Therese the little flower. For me, and this is not, I didn't invent this, but I call her the wrought iron little flower. She's strong, and we need that strength. And she has come here to the United States, and she has come here to Carmel to give you and me her strength. When she was in the infirmary, and there was one period in the infirmary for 24 days, she coughed up blood several times a day, over and over and over again. She had gangrene of the intestines with very distressing consequences. She would sweat through the mattress. She had terrible headaches and hallucinations, and she was in the darkest night of faith when God seemed so far away. And yet it was in that darkness that, this is from God, it was the night after the Feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel, she said, I feel that my heaven is about to begin. I want to spend my heaven doing good on earth. And here she is with us today. She says, many souls say, I don't have the strength to accomplish this sacrifice, to get out of that narrow circle that we're turning in. But Therese, let them do what I did. Make a great effort. God never refuses that first grace that gives us the courage to act. Afterwards, our heart is strengthened, and we go from victory to victory to victory. And this is what you and I want, isn't it? So, you know her famous phrase. It's etched on the end of each of the reliquary. People ask what that is. It says in French, I will let fall a shower of roses. There have been a lot of places in St. Therese's pilgrimage across the United States where people have thrown rose petals at her. But I was thinking just the other day in front of the reliquary, the real roses we want are the ones that she scatters within our heart. And she gives us her love and her peace and her joy. The presence that God is with us, that He's always with us, and that whatever burdens we are carrying, Jesus is saying to me, come to you. He's saying to us, come to me, you who are burdened and who labor.